I'm Mark Steele, real estate broker since 2011, and my goal is to give you all of the real estate information that you need and make it as simple as possible. You're listening to the Simple Real Estate Podcast. You've probably heard someone say this in your past. Renting is just throwing money away. But you've probably also heard someone say the opposite, that buying is risky and renting gives you freedom. So which one is actually better? Let's talk about some of the considerations behind renting versus buying. First, it's important to understand that renting and owning serve very different purposes. Renting gives you flexibility. You can move easily, you're not responsible for major repairs, and your financial commitment is relatively predictable month to month. If your rent is $2,400 a month, that is your rent. It's not changing for at least the next 12 months. Owning, on the other hand, introduces leverage. That means you're controlling a large asset with borrowed money, which can amplify both gains and potentially your risks. The financial difference between renting and buying usually comes down to time horizon. If someone plans to stay in a home for a long time, owning often becomes advantageous because mortgage payments gradually build equity. Part of each payment goes toward the principal, meaning you slowly increase your ownership of that property. Meanwhile, rent payments do not create ownership, they simply cover the cost of housing. However, buying also comes with additional costs. Homeowners need to account for the maintenance of their property taxes, home insurance, and sometimes unexpected repairs. Washing machines, dishwashers, windows, roofs, leaks, etc. Whereas if you're renting, these are often covered by the landlord or the person who actually owned the property, reducing, again, your expenses. That's why buying doesn't always make sense for people who expect to move in a short period of time, people who like to bounce around from place to place. In many markets, ownership tends to become more financially favorable the longer someone stays in the property. But again, this always depends on your individual circumstances. If you're someone who likes to travel and maybe you're not going to be in the home very often, renting could make more sense for you. But if you plan to plant roots and stay for a little while and your job is secure, it could be a good time to buy. And of course, with all of these things in consideration, you have to remember that buying means you're going to need a down payment as well. In a future episode, we'll talk about down payments and the thresholds that you need depending on the price of your property. But if you don't have a property down payment saved up, then you may not be looking to buy either way. And to get into a bit of an intro into down payments, for properties priced at $500,000 or less, you'll need at least a 5% down payment for that. So the question isn't really, is renting bad or is buying always better? The real question is, what option makes the most sense for your lifestyle, your finances, and how long you actually plan to stay in a property? So consider this, and if you have any questions about buying versus renting your property, as always, feel free to email me. My email address is mark@soldourhome.com. Again, that's mark@soldourhome.com. And in our next episode, we're going to talk about a topic that gets a lot of attention, especially right now: interest rates. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.